Hey, welcome into another episode of the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Matt, today, doing another rant. And did I ever think that this podcast would make two Washington football teams videos in 1 week? No, I didn't. I didn't think, but this is the world we're living in right now. Big news this morning, Adrian Peterson, the legendary running back who did all right last year with Washington, has been released from the team. So that leaves us with a ton of questions, and the hype trains have been running out of control on Twitter and Sleeper this morning. So we're here to sort of maybe try to clear things up for you before the dust settles, because we're going into the biggest draft weekend of the season. All right, let's break it down. Why did Adrian Peterson get cut? In my opinion, it was a financial move. I mean, at some point, this team has to move on and give some of their younger players time to develop, even if it means having a losing season. Dwayne Haskins was announced as the starter earlier this week. Alex Smith is making his comeback. It would be great to see a veteran player like him get in, but we need the future to be a thing. It needs to come to fruition at some point. So Dwayne Haskins, the starter, probably a good move. Same thing with Antonio Gibson and Bryce Love, two backs that Washington has invested their capital in over the years. They're sitting in a backfield with J.D. McKissick and Peyton Barber, not to mention Adrian Peterson. At some point, those guys need to get worked in. Washington will save about $2.5 million this year by letting Adrian Peterson go, $750,000 dead cap money to them. So who's going to be the starter? In our opinion, it's going to be probably Antonio Gibson. Washington this year spent their second overall pick. They didn't have a second round pick. So in the third, a 66 overall pick, they took Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson was criticized during his time at Memphis for not having a sizable resume of carries to bring to the NFL. And the reason for that was Antonio Gibson is a wide receiver converted running back who at the end of his time with Memphis started to get touches out of the backfield, and he was electric. Absolutely electric. Scored a touchdown on every 5.5 touches out of the backfield. Unbelievable when you pair what he's going to be able to do in the receiving game with the small sample size of running back prowess that we did see. Antonio Gibson projects to be very good, and it seems like Washington's going all in on what they see in Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson's ADP right now is the third pick of the 7th round, and if you've been drafting Antonio Gibson there, I mean, you hit the jackpot. It could be a potential league winner for you in terms of value, right? You're going to get a return on your investment just because you drafted a starting running back in the 7th round. If you're drafting this weekend, expect that ADP to be blown up. He's probably going to go in the 5th or 6th round, maybe even earlier, depending on your league mates and what they believe. I think I would go 5th. I'd be comfortable taking a shot on Antonio Gibson as my running back 3, kind of like where I would draft Kareem Hunt. That's sort of where I'm putting Antonio Gibson now with what I believe with the situation. Bryce Love is also there, and I don't think Bryce Love is a bad running back. Let's look back to his time at Stanford. Bryce Love ran for over 2,100 yards as a junior for Stanford on 263 carries. So the guy can get it done. He was an unbelievable talent, but what happened, he declared for another senior year, and in December of his senior year tore his ACL, which shattered his draft stock. So Bryce Love went from, a potential second round pick in 2019 to the back of the draft, and Washington took a shot on him because of what he did in his junior year, but now he's getting a chance. The only thing that Bryce Love has against him, he was getting limited work with the first team throughout training camp. It was Antonio Gibson as the pass catching back behind Adrian Peterson, but we are now projecting that Antonio Gibson takes that Adrian Peterson starting role. Now, Bryce Love is 7th pick of the 12th round in half-point leagues, and I would 100% take a shot on Bryce Love in the back of your drafts. I mean, at this point, you are drafting for depth, you are drafting for upside, and I think Bryce Love gives us both of those. 12th round is a far cry for what he could give you, and I think goes up on my board now as a true sleeper. He might not be a sleeper anymore, but I think he has a chance to establish himself as an early down back if Antonio Gibson is seen more of a pass catcher. We don't know. We're anticipating that he jumps into the starting role, but Bryce Love could be a complement to Antonio Gibson. So ahead of Peyton Barber, ahead of J.D. McKissic, I would have Bryce Love there. I think McKissic will back up Antonio Gibson, but Bryce Love could be the goal line back, could be the early down back. Too soon to concretely give you that, but I think Bryce Love in the 12th round is an absolute value, and you should draft him. If you're drafting tonight, draft Bryce Love, 12th round. Won't be disappointed. I'll tell you one thing. If good friend of the show Mike Wright isn't doing donuts in the Fantasy Footballers parking lot right now, I mean, when is a good time? For those of you that missed it, Mike Wright of the Fantasy Footballers came on our show to celebrate our 100th anniversary and dropped a nugget that Antonio Gibson was his favorite player. And this was coming back in June, and I know that he had dropped that news prior on their show. So Antonio Gibson has been in the forefront of our mind for a while as a potential sleeper. But here we are, and I can't think of a time where Mike would be any happier. So, Mike, what a snipe. Congrats to you, buddy. Really, really happy for you. Hope that all of those shares, tripled in value, and you are just licking your chops today. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't considered subscribing to the channel, please do so. It really, really helps us out. Free click for you, helps us out. A comment, a like would be fantastic. Stay tuned for more. We'll be here to keep you guys up to date. And if you're sticking around tomorrow, we have our Listener League draft, which is going to be crazy. Superflex, tight end premium, tiered PPR. Going to be a great time. Hopefully you guys are enjoying and getting prepped for draft season. Have a good weekend.